Yoda be praised. Hello, fellow movie fans. I watch a lot of movies, which I write about over at letterbox.com/onegoodthing. But with this series, I want to share my love of action movies, specifically martial arts, kung fu, and chopsaki flicks. And I think the best way to do that is to highlight one good fight from each movie. For my first video, I highlighted the Tonfa Showcase from Spiritual Kung Fu, a movie which I have seen several times and know I love. Today, I want to show you one good fight from Rivals of the Silver Fox, a movie I had never seen before. So my plan is to sort of alternate between movies I know I like, movies I've seen and logged on Letterboxd, and movies that I just pick at random, as well as any suggestions that you guys have for me. So make sure to comment those below. So what do you say we kick and punch this thing off with one good fight from Rivals of the Silver Fox? All right, here we go. All right, this is Rivals of the Silver Fox. This is a movie I'd never seen before. I just picked it. It sounded cool. This movie, I'm going to give you some context for the fight scene we're about to watch. This thing is a doozy. I don't think any scene lasts more than 30 seconds. So we are just going to be zipping through this thing. I'm going to try to capture the essence of just the bonkers pacing of this movie. Here we go. All right, so we start out on an empty throne, and the bad guy walks up to the throne. The bad guy says that he's in charge now, and this guy rings the gong, and then these silver bronze men come out. Now, I know silver bronze men sounds like an oxymoron almost, but that's what they call them in the movie, and we Kung Fu fans know that bronze men are a thing in the Kung Fu universe. It's your standard enemy, but just sort of with an added extra armor plating and just a little bit faster, tougher, wiser. And usually bronze men travel in groups. So here we see a bunch of them just essentially dancing. They're dancing for the new master of Kung Fu. Then at the end of the credits, we get this guy. This guy is going to be our hero, and the hero has a little baby on his back, which you can see. So he's just walking through the countryside, baby on his back. Then we get these three guys. These three guys are eating at a restaurant, and they're just telling stories. What kind of stories are they telling? They're telling stories of the men who have tried to fight the bad guy but have failed. So we get a couple of fight scenes of these guys just fighting the silver bronze men. The first stage of silver bronze men are these pole fighters. Then it cuts back to the guys at the restaurant. They tell a second story. They tell this story, and this guy dies. And so then they tell another story, and some of the silver bronze men have whips. And so they whip this guy and spin him around. And most of what the silver bronze men do in this movie are just run around in circles. It's a very theatrical process fighting these guys. But then we cut from this guy to this guy, and he's at a graveyard, and he's talking to the tombstone of his father. So I don't know if this guy is his dad or what, but this guy's talking to his father saying, I will avenge you, I will kill the bad guy, and if I don't do it, then someone of my generation will. Okay, here we go. We get the bad guy actually steps in to do a fight, because so far we haven't seen him fight. And when he does step into fight, he's a real scumbag about it, because he's like throwing sand and using dirty tricks, and he's a real scoundrel. So not only is he a bad guy, but he's a dirt bag as well. He's the kind of bad guy we love to hate. Here we go. We get to a restaurant. The main character is feeding his baby at the restaurant. The three guys are making fun of him. I got a little baby, ha ha. And they also notice a monk. And they say, like, hey, shouldn't monks be fasting? And this monk is just enjoying this dish as much as he can. So is he a monk? Isn't he? Well, our main hero is going to notice that the monk on the way out does a little bit of pickpocketing to the three guys, and when they go to pay for their tab, they get a little red note in their bag that says, I'm the invisible thief, and I stole your weapon. If you want it back, then pay me. I'll be at the temple. And they're like, what? So The bad guy has another fight scene where he's trying to get information out of this guy, and this guy won't budge. What the bad guy wants is the secret documents. The secret documents have something to do with medicine, I think. But either way, if this guy gets the secret documents, then he'll be unstoppable, I guess. The three guys go to meet the monk, and he opens up his little coat, and he's like, "Oh, which one was yours again?" And he's got a bunch of them there, and they're like, "Ah!" They get so mad, they chase him into the woods, and they end up capturing him. So he gets tossed in the net, and he doesn't really care. He's also very rascally. He's always got a way out. But the main hero ends up approaching the three guys and is like, "Hey, I gotta talk to that guy." And it's unsure how the main hero knows him, really. But either way, the main hero fights the three guys. So the guy who's crouching is the main hero. And he's got he's holding the baby as he's doing the fight scene. And he's doing flips and kicks and all sorts of crazy stuff. And then at the end of the fight, it cuts to the baby's face. And the baby is just having a blast. Oh, that baby. We meet these guys. These guys are going to be kind of our main henchmen throughout the movie. We'll see a little bit more of them later, hear a little bit more about them later. But then we meet the lady. The lady is the person who knows the most about where the secret documents are. So they've got two of her friends behind her, and she's like, "If you let them go, I'll tell you where they are." And she's all crying and stuff. And she's like, "Oh, don't worry, guys, I'll be okay." And they're like, "No, no, no." They get kicked out, and she ends up going to the bad guy's bedroom, and she has a little secret knife, and she tries to stab him. Ah! But he ends up, like, catching it before she can, and almost stabbing her. And then, out of nowhere, this guy comes busting in, and this guy's picking a fight with the other guy, and while they're fighting, she manages to escape. So when she escapes, and this guy, he's just fighting, I think he also ends up escaping as well. But these four guys in red are chasing after her, and so she runs through the woods and sees our main hero, and they approach him, and he's like, "Hey, leave her alone." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm the guy who's about to kick your butts if you don't walk away right now." And they're like, "Oh?" They get into a fight, and he easily dispatches them. Easily. But then as soon as he sees the lady, he has a flashback. And the flashback is what we're about to watch. Here we go. Alright, so here we go. This is going to be one good fight scene from Rivals of the Silver Fox. Are you ready? Okay, so he saved her, and he's looking at her, and now he is reminiscing. He's flashing back to his origin story. So here we go. He's running through the woods. They're on the run, and they get ambushed.
I want the secret document.
Interesting hoods.
What document?
What documents? She's got a baby and a box full of secret documents.
I know that
And he's like, "What secret documents?"
About the secret of nature. Get it!
Alright, so here we go. They attack, and he immediately has to defend. These are four henchmen, so he's gonna take them out pretty easily. And this movie's gonna use the zoom out trick a lot. It's a good way to get mini impactful fight scenes, and also redirect us to know who we're supposed to be paying attention to, right? Because a lot of these guys are coming from the side and the back. And so every time we zoom out, we're reorienting ourselves. Oh! Yeah, it's like the mini objective. Don't let the bad guys get to the lady and the baby. He never carries a weapon, so oftentimes he's fighting a group. He will steal their weapons. But that's it. He just beats them all up, and
You trap me into this.
they're all dizzy. Yeah, he's like, you dragged me into this? What? He's like, I just did it I did it for the money. I'm sorry. Please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Your kung fu is clearly better than ours.
Excuse me, sir. I did it for money. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so he's like a noble bad guy. He's like, okay, wait. Clearly you're superior. I bow to you.
Let me give you some advice. You must be careful. There are guards hiding in every corner of this place. All of them are trying to get the secret document.
Yeah, so as long as they have the secret documents, they're in trouble. And he's trying to warn them. And so she makes the decision to throw him the documents. He doesn't like that. They did not talk about this ahead of time. And was this part of this guy's plan? Like, she just threw it to him. He could have just ran away. He didn't need to kill him, but he did. He killed her. He takes the dagger easy, right? But she's dead now. And that's his origin story, is now he's got his baby. He's walking through the countryside and he's trying to find his wife's killer, who will also lead him to the secret documents. So that's your flashback and your one good fight from this movie. All right, so that was your one good fight scene from Rivals of the Silver Fox. I thought it was pretty interesting, and like I said, the flashback comes out of nowhere, and it just ends abruptly with some bad guy throwing two knives, running away, laughing maniacally with the secret documents. So now, if you're curious, I will give you a rundown of what happens for the rest of Rivals of the Silver Fox. All right, let's go. All right, so I'm going to run you through the rest of this movie. Here are all of our main players, all right? We got our good guy up here, right? This is our main hero up top. And then we got the bad guy, and then we got the lady over there. The lady's like, oh, you saved me, so anytime you, if you're ever in my neck of the woods, look me up. You've got this guy running around. You got the monk. You've got this other guy who I'll explain later, and then you've got just henchmen. So the hero, right? He, after saving the lady, the hero goes off to reminisce more, and then the monk approaches him and is like, hey, you were looking for me earlier? And our hero says, yeah, you got a bunch of weapons. Can I see them? And the monk opens up his coat, and the guy says, that one. Where did that one come from, right? Because it's the same dagger that we saw in our one good fight scene. And so the monk is like, I'll tell you exactly where I got it. I got it over here. And then we get a fight scene of the hero fighting his wife, fighting the wife killer, fighting his wife's killer. And he dispatches him pretty easily. And there's a little bit of trickery involved, but our hero can't be stopped. He asked the bad guy, not the main bad guy, but the one who killed his wife. He asked the wife killer, what did you do with the secret documents? And the guy's like, I don't know who has them. I was just a mercenary. So the hero kills that guy. Then the hero goes to a restaurant. While he's at the restaurant, apparently the restaurateur knows the henchman. And so the restaurateur signals to them somehow, and then while they're prepping and running to fight the good guy, this silver-haired guy shows up, right, way over there. And the silver-haired guy is like, hey, I'm the world's genius. I know everything. Pay me money, and I'll tell you whatever you want to know. And the hero's like, no thanks. And then he's like, okay, so he leaves. And then another guy comes up and is like, hey, I'm a fortune teller. Pay me, and I'll tell you your fortune. And the hero's like, no. And the fortune teller's like, too bad, you're gonna die. Death is in your future. And he's a bad guy, and he shoots him with poison needles. So now the good guy's poisoned, and he's got a baby, and he's got to fight people. And then the monk comes in to save the baby, and the monk runs away with the baby, and then the good guy gets captured. So then while the monk is running away, he gets stopped by more bad guys, and he's got the baby. The monk can't fight with the baby. Only the dad can fight with the baby, right? And so then the second hero shows up, and he's like, oh crap, a monk with a baby. Let me save him. And then the monk's like, "Whoa, thank you for saving me. What are you doing?" And the second good guy is like, I'm trying to find this bad guy. You wouldn't know who he is." And the monk's like, "Actually, I know exactly where he is." So the second good guy's like, "Okay, show me." So then they go to the bad guy's stronghold, and they kind of like sneak their way in almost. It's very silly. It doesn't make a lot of sense exactly how they end up getting in there. But the second hero ends up fighting with the bad guy while the monk goes into the stronghold, and the monk finds the main good guy. And of course the main good guy is being tortured. So the monk saves the main good guy. Now the monk's got the main good guy and the baby, and he's walking through the woods. Meanwhile, the second good guy fights with the bad guy, but the second good guy has no match. And before the bad guy can kill the second good guy, a red flag comes flying through the window, and whoosh, everyone's looking around surprised. And somehow the second good guy disappears, and the red flag belongs, you can see over there in that picture, the red flag belongs to the silver hair guy. So then the silver hair guy is the second hero is also poisoned. So the silver hair guy is taking care of the second hero. Meanwhile, the monk is walking through the woods and happens upon a house. Who lives in the house? Lady lives in the house. The lady's like, "Oh, hey, the hero, he saved my life once. I'll take care of him." And so then we get a scene of the main we get a scene of the main hero and the second hero getting better. And as soon as the second hero gets better, he tells the silver hair guy, "Hey, I'm gonna go fight the main bad guy." And he does, and he dies. He dies to the silver bronze men with the whip. So this guy is out of the picture. So again, when he made that promise to his father at the graveyard, he's like, "If I can't do it, someone from my generation will." Well, he couldn't do it, so hopefully our main hero can. All right, so then our hero ends up getting better, and he's pointed in the because of the monk. He's pointed in the direction of the silver hair guy. The hero goes to the silver hair guy, and they end up getting into a fight. And the silver hair guy is really good, right? And the silver hair guy is like throwing rocks at these symbols, and anytime he throws rocks at the symbols, the hero's like, "Oh, it's too loud," so the noise is too much, right? But the silver hair guy is immune to it. But our main hero wants him to train him. He wants him to give him advice on how to beat the silver bronze men. And the silver hair guy is like, "No." They get into a little bit of a fight, and the silver hair guy is really good and reveals that he's a priest. He's like the main priest from the past. It's not clear exactly how everyone knows him, but he's the priest, right? So the priest ends up taking on our main hero to train him. And while all that is going on, we have the restaurant guy is still in cahoots with those henchmen. And so then the henchmen end up fighting the monk, and the monk unfortunately can't keep the lady safe, so the lady and the baby are kidnapped. And then the main hero goes to the graveyard where our second hero was, and we get a voiceover from the silver hair guy who's like, "Hey, you gotta be in control of the five elements: gold, earth, water, air, and fire, and these never come up again." So while we do see that in a lot of kung fu movies, for some reason he's got like, I think the silver bronze men are supposed to represent the five elements, or the bad guy is supposed to know. I don't know, but the main guy goes to the monk who's all beat up, and the monk essentially with his dying breath says, "I wasn't able to stop them." Our hero runs into the house, and there's a note saying, "If you want to see the lady and the baby again, then you should come to us." All right, and so then we have a scene where the lady is all dressed up, right? The bad guy gives her a dress, very Indiana Jones-esque. The bad guy giving the lady the dress, and she dresses up for him, of course. And then she's like, "Hey, they bring out the baby in like a box, like a straight up box. That Gong guy from earlier brings out the baby in a box, opens it up, and she's like, no, 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 wait, don't kill the baby, don't hurt the baby, I'll give you the secret documents. And this is what the bad guy has wanted the entire movie. And then the bad guy goes, I don't want the secret documents, I want you. So then they go to the bedroom and um he ends up watching her undress, and it's implied that they get freaky together, I guess. Meanwhile, our main hero goes to fight the henchman, and even though the monk died, like we pretty much were to assume the monk died, he pops up again behind the bushes. He's a little chipmunk guy, and our main hero fights one henchman, kills him. He fights the second henchman, kills him, and now he's got to go fight the bronzeman, the silver bronzeman, and he's no match for the silver bronzeman. He's having a hard time. I think he gets through the first stage with the poles, and then he goes to fight the second stage with the whips, and then he's captured by all the whips, but then the monk shows up to distract the whip guys. While they're distracted, he breaks free and beats them up. Then he goes to fight more silver bronzemen, and he can't do it, so once again the monk comes in to help. The monk ends up getting beaten up, and then with his dying breath again, he says, you have to hit their weak points. And then so he's dead. Boom, he's got it here. So then we see on the silver bronzemen are these like red painted on circles that indicate the weak points. So the main hero hits their weak points and they freeze and they can't move. That allows him to go to the main courtyard. The bad guy calls the ultimate silver bronze men who have these symbols, and they start clapping their symbols around, and the good guy can't take it. And just then, the silver hair fox guy, I think he's the silver hair fox, but it's also unclear on like on how exactly he's related to the bad guy and why they would be rivals. Either way, the silver hair fox guy shows up, and it turns out his secret to withstanding the symbols is earplugs. So he takes out his earplugs, he throws them to the good guy. The good guy takes the earplugs, plugs them in, but now because the silver hair fox guy doesn't have earplugs, he also dies. The main hero ends up fighting the bad guy and essentially somehow getting one up on him. And even though the secret documents and the secret elements of nature and all this stuff was part of the movie, it essentially just ends with the bad guy dying. And then all the silver bronze men bow down to our hero, who's the new good guy. So now we have our new family, which is the good guy, the lady and the baby, and the Gong guy shows back up, and the Gong guy's like, hey, the throne is yours. You're the new master. And the hero shakes his head no, and him and the lady and the baby walk away. The end. All right, and that is Rivals of the Silver Fox. This movie is bonkers. It moves at a lightning fast pace, just like the fight scene that we watched with the camera at a close-up and zooming out. Every scene we're starting and we don't know what's going on, and we have to figure it out as it goes, and we move from one thing to another, and people are changing their minds and motivations. The whole movie just gives you whiplash, but the fight scenes mirror that. And so the last 20 minutes of the movie is essentially all fighting, but up until then you get seasoning. The fighting is just seasoning sprinkled on this chaotic cake. All right, and so that's the video. Like I said, I plan on doing these for a bunch of movies. Some of them that I know I like, some of them I've seen and can't remember, and some of them I've never seen before. If there's any specific movie you want me to do a fight scene from, then let me know in the comments below. You can throw me a subscribe if you want to see more from me. I've got some short films and other videos on here. However, if you did like this video, go ahead and chop that like button, so that I know to make more of these. And until next time, Buddha be with you.